Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today I want to open the show with a conversation with the General Secretary of Nadeco. For those of us who were around in the 90s, Nadeco was the coalition that had a frontal confrontation with the militaries, especially right after the annulment of June 12 and especially during the reign of General Sani Abacha. Now, a few days ago, the General Secretary of Nadeco, who is also the spokesman of Nadeco, Chief Ayo Opadokun, wrote a book that they entitled The Nadeco Story, which gives, for the first time, very comprehensive details about what it is that happened at that time. He also hosted an event that was attended by such eminent Nigerians, such as Professor Wole Soyinka, the Nobel laureate, and then the Olubadan of Ibadan, and several other distinguished Nigerians, where honor was given to the people that fought military rule, at times with a lot of sacrifice, including those who passed. So I'd like to welcome to the show a returning guest. He has been on my show before, Chief Ayo Opadokun. Chief Ayo Opadokun was one of the closest aides of the late sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Chief Opadokun, good to see you again on Inside Sources.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you, but let me correct you once again. I've never accepted chieftaincy title of anybody. I want to remain an ordinary mister.
Okay.
Till God calls me home.
All right, sir.
So, I'm done with Ayo Opadokun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I take that correction. It's just that we're just used to the fact that we also call you a Nadeco chieftain. But your correction is well taken. Now,
Thank you.
Yeah, I want us to start, with the background of what is currently going on in the country. It's election season again, and we see a lot of, fallouts, all kinds of games around the primaries, the issue of internal democracy. You see a lot of complaints of irregularities, rigging, and whatnot. It's all over the place, regardless of the political party. Now, I know that you have always made the argument that many of these things are happening the way they are happening because of military rule. So I'm going to read what you said on page 120 to commence that conversation around what is going on and the role of the military in it. I want to read from page 120 of your book, The Nadeco Story. This is what you said. You said Abacha reportedly changed his mind on the issue of appointing civilian administrators after he had taken over in 1993. There was the talk that he will appoint civilian administrators, as a way to douse the tension. But you reported that Abacha changed his mind on this aspect after a crucial parley he held with senior and middle-level military men. Young officers showed open defiance at the first meeting of top military officers he held at Dodan Barracks, reportedly saying to his face that he, with his ambition, was the real problem of Nigeria. You reported that military officers, I guess the younger ones, they told Abacha to his face that it was Abacha's own ambition that was the problem of the country. Now, how do what's your take on what is happening today? Especially because your view had always been that the military, they are the main culprits to the kind of political culture that we develop, especially in the Fourth Republic. What's your take, sir?
Well, my reaction will be as to lay this following background to the entire show. The military violently overthrew the democratically elected government of Nigeria on January 15, 1966. While we pressured them to go back to the barracks, they went with their loots. And then, at the coming of Buhari on December 31st, 1984, he declared that out of all politicians were discredited. The first question to ask is, who discredited them? the military. The military were not trained to play politics. So the fundamental background to all the shenaniganism that you are witnessing today sprang from the fact that the military had not allowed democracy, democratization to flourish, to develop, and be consolidated. And there's no profession on earth that does not require training, tutelage, experience, and exposure. That's why the Nigerian army cannot ask a carpenter, go and drive an armored car. Neither can you ask a tailor to do a surgery on a sick person. The Nigerian political class was allowed by the Nigerian army for their selfish reason to learn on the job, to mature on the job, correct themselves, and for the purposes of self-enlightenment, compromise in order to bring about a matured, resilient, dependable political culture. That's the background to what you are saying today. Now, when Buhari detained most politicians and called them discredited, Babangida came. He himself said they were discredited. Then he said he was going to build his own. He called them new breed. And then he started banning and unbanning. And so what you are witnessing today in Nigeria scene, political scene, is military politics that they are playing. That was not what we used to know. Military politics, because they never had any training. They are ignorant, totally, abysmally ignorant, but foolishly very cocky, insisting on teaching what they don't know. That's what has brought us to where we are today. Now, a situation where Babangida asked us to go and form political parties. He sent us on a wild goose chase. Why? Many of us thought it was serious. Babangida already had in his own caucus, inner caucus, he sent them to Latin American countries and the Middle East to go and learn how the military despots in Latin America and Middle East were sitting down on their throne for long years, choreographing some sense of a charade called election to elect prime ministers who will be of their choice. And so among those people that he sent around were Colonel Tony Yam to go and learn those kind of tricks. So they never wanted to leave power. So they configured a political arrangement that would be like their own. And what they have done, for example, you remember that Babangida built 2 party secretariats all over the country at expensive prices, paying them, giving some kind of funny things that we never witnessed before. Either to, in Nigerian politics, if you're a party, a card-carrying member of the party, you go and attend your ward meeting, you go with your card, you pay your due, and it is entered. But they were using government money to finance political parties. That was part of the beginning of the undoing of this country. I can tell you, Laulu, that no governor of the Unity Party of Nigeria, for which I was a deputy director of organization, spent 10,000 naira of his own money to become a governor. You know how much it costs now? Even to be a councillor. That's part of the charade. And you know, Abacha, when Abacha came, he wanted to transmit. So he was nominated. The day he was going to be nominated, as the sole candidate of all the 5 political parties, he passed on. Just that before that weekend.
Okay. All right.
So that's the problem that you have. Today, Nigeria politics is not about any, no, it's ideologically void. You don't need to have any credibility. All that you need, first of all, is to go and see how you can break into bank vault, even if it is a central bank. Go and steal as much money as you can steal, so that you can bribe the men of your party to nominate to elect you. Go and bribe the electoral officers and the electorate. Go and bribe the security agencies, and finally, you must go and find a way to bribe the judges, so that you can be finally pronounced as the winner. Because then you have the key to the store of the state or the country.
Very compelling, what you're talking about, Mr. Opadokun, because, we are witnessing, even today as we speak, the trial of a former central bank governor, who was actually going to run for president. And now we are seeing all the kinds of how much money has been misappropriated, just to back what you have said. But my follow-up question, Elder, is that in your own view, how do we get out of this situation? I mean, we have had democracy or civil rule now since 1999 up until today. By the end of this month, we will have 27 years of unbroken civilian rule. And we are still hearing all kinds of things, happening in the primaries, all kinds of shenanigans. Even people like Benga Daniel, who was a governor, is complaining. People like Ned Nwoko, they are complaining. People like Adebayo Adelabu, who was former central bank deputy governor, and you are talking about central bank, who actually is an immediate past minister for power, they are all complaining that they've been mistreated, they were not allowed, it was rigging, it's all over the place. How long, Elder, is this going to happen? How long are we going to blame the military, in your view, sir? Or what's the way out?
What the military sow is what we are reaping. We must come to that reality. That reality, must accept that reality. Then you are asking as to what you can do. I believe that we are not ready. The Nigerian state is not ready to change course. Because, during the Nadeco days, sometimes we got to some of these embassies, they ask us, what will the Nigerian government do that to bring people out to go and defend their rights? We never had any serious response to that question, because the Nigerian goat, if it's pushed to the wall, he will be looking for a way to dig a hole around that wall, not bouncing back.
Wow.
Most of the characters in politics today were their surrogates, acolytes, confederates, sympathizers, loyalists, who never knew anything about the democracy and its features. In any case, we secured Nigeria independence on a federal constitutional arrangement. And we were practicing parliamentary system, Westminster system, which really remained very responsible, significantly responsive also, unlike the presidential system of government that was foisted upon us by Murtala Mohammed government and Obasanjo, which is irresponsible and irresponsive. When a prime minister who is just primus inter pares is seated along with other legislatures in the cabinet, matters that happen in different various constituencies could be brought to bear, and they will be dealt with immediately. But you don't see the president goes to the parliament to lay down his budget every year. Many legislators may not see the president or the governor again throughout their tenure. So there is no responsibility. And then they cannot be responsive to the yearning and aspiration of the people as it wants to be. For us to change, for us to do something, Nigerians must take the bull by the horn. What I witnessed today is not the kind of thing that people like us were tutored upon. Our tutelage was on serious-minded, decent, responsible party politicking. Not what we have today. Everything is about money. Everything is about power. And people are willing to even kill each other or themselves in order for them to accede to power.
Very interesting. So, in your view, this will continue until the Nigerian people decide, or the Nigerian state, that's your argument, that the Nigerian state is the one that can push it back.
Yes.
Yeah, because, you know, and it goes to my next question, you know, some of the dramatic things that happened during the Nadeco days was recorded on page 216 of your book. And I'm going to read just a portion and then frame a question, you know, that will take the conversation forward.
Right.
It says on page 216, right. It says that, talking about Radio Freedom Radio that later became Radio Kudira. It said it was designed and ran as a guerrilla radio station. The station operated in a way to prevent detection by the government. Sometimes its transmitter, this is on page 216, very interesting. Sometimes the transmitter of this Radio Freedom rested in the boot of a mobile car parked in the most daring places, including opposite the maximally guarded federal-run Radio Nigeria in Ikoyi, Lagos. In particular, a Lagos prince and senator not only took risks to source news, they also transported the FM radio transmitter in their car from one location to another after sunset. Each time, the intelligence, that's the military intelligence and security operatives, tried to jam the frequency with high-tech counter transmitters, or the station came in danger of being located. These men usually moved one step ahead. The station's evasiveness proved frustrating to the government. This is my point, Elder. So during the military, we had this kind of resilience by the Nigerian people to say that, no, we don't want the military. And people went to great extents, such as yourself, such as Professor Wole Soyinka, such as Chief Anthony Enahoro, to say no. Why is it difficult for Nigerians to organize themselves now that we have a democracy? In your view, sir, we have a democracy. When we had the military, we had this kind of very deep-seated, well-organized resistance. Now that we have a democracy, why did we go to sleep, Elder?
Okay, Laulu, may I say to you, disappointingly, that you don't have a democracy. What you have is a civilian government. And I've just said to you a while ago, I'm repeating, 99% of those people in politics today were agents, surrogates.
I agree with you. Elder, my point is that
of the military.
No, I agree with you. My point is that
no,
we fought those people. Why is it difficult to fight these so-called civilians, politicians? Why is it difficult for us to fight them? That's my point, sir.
The point is, you only fight them if that, you see, amongst few of our colleagues, that's what just about 1% of them have found themselves in government. And one way or the other, perhaps they are just they are carrying on along, torturing on along with these military agents who are now politicians. They cannot commit suicide by doing anything against the system that takes them to get rich quickly and to be in position where they never could have imagined themselves to be. So they cannot really take, on their own, decide to confront this system. It will take a deliberate act of somebody who is in power, who wants to leave a name, a legacy, to decide to restore Nigeria to the path of sanity politically.
Okay.
I wish I know what is in the mind of President Bola Tinubu. For me, one thing that I thought and prayed that he will do is that if perhaps in the miasma of this their second time in Burugilo, that if it is destined to be so, that he win the second time, I just want to hope that he will be conscious enough of what his legacy could be. And the only legacy that he could leave, perhaps to me, is not the amount of money that he leaves behind. It is the fact that Nigeria is structurally restored. We return to federal constitutional governance, a parliamentary system where it will not afford anybody to dominate the other person. As from that day, Nigeria can take their destiny into their hands. Okay. Today, what we have is not democratic in any sense, and that was the reason why some of us thought that perhaps we should not participate in Absalami transition program. You know, they never had any constitution. They never saw any constitution until the day that Obasanjo was sworn in. The fact of the matter is this: a situation where a part of the country had considered themselves to be the owner of the country, that the rest of us were onlookers, and they carried that thing to the extent of describing themselves as godly given the right to rule and govern. Now, it will be difficult for President Bola Tinubu getting to power to won't attempt at changing that course, what they've been doing for over 60 years. I just hope. I don't know whether it is true or not. Well, what I'm saying is in his mind. I believe that he's coursing on together for him to win the second time, so that he can do the right thing. I just hope that perhaps that's what he's doing.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, Opadokun, because just calling you ordinary mister doesn't pay you the kind of respect that you deserve. And this book that you have done is an outstanding work. I mean, being a student of history myself, I find it to be so precise, so comprehensive, that if I had my way, it should form the basis of part of our history, especially regarding what happened in those early days of the military. And thank you also for recognizing and honoring quite a number. I was at the event with you on Wednesday in Lagos, recognizing quite a number of the people who stood up and fought the military. It was important assignment that you did to say that we still remember them. Thank you so much. I give you another minute to make a last word.
Thank you very much, Laulu, and I want to express my gratitude to you to be one of the two moderators that at that event. It was a thing that a job, a business that ought to have been done for long by those who have governed us. But you remember that of all those who have governed Nigeria since the Fourth Republic, only Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was not sponsored by the military. The remaining, the rest was sponsored by their agents. Remember how Obasanjo came in? It was the project of the Lieutenant General Ali Guzo and Babangida. And Obasanjo decided on Yaradua. He knew that the man was fatally, medically not okay. You know the rest of the story.
Yes.
And because he pushed them again to the barracks, another general took over. So we have never had Democrats governing Nigeria. So all these years we have been talking about had been governed by them. This is the first time that somebody who was not sponsored by them is in power.
Okay.
And they're unleashing terror. I believe they are unleashing terror on him. He himself is in a difficult position. Perhaps because I know he's a street-wise guy. He probably will be able to weather the storm. Let's explain the game that they have been playing. Perhaps out of which might be something better will result.
Okay.
I want to thank you for coming. You know, I had to do what we did. Nadeco had to do what we did because while the thing was on, most of these characters now who are politicians were hands in glove with the military. So few of our people who are activists, who are journalists, who really carry the story of Nadeco activities are the greatest risk to their lives. They ought to be recognized.
Yeah.
The funders ought to be recognized. The diplomatic missions that supported us ought to be recognized. That was what we did on May 20 at the Muson Center. And I thank you for honoring us with your presence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo Opadokun. Thank you for all you do. And I share your hope that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to help us to move Nigeria in the direction that we all expect. Thank you so much for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you.
All right.